Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Allie. And today I have another 5 books, 5 looks for you guys. I did this last month. I've kind of been multi-reading and multi-filming both of them at the same time, so it's a little confusing for me to keep up. But for the most part, I'm going to be jumping in, explaining what makeup I'm wearing, kind of just focusing on eyeshadow and lipstick, you know, just kind of like the main focus of my looks. And then also talking about what book I read at the time. So I've been filming this video and last month's 5 books, 5 looks video since November. So yeah, I've kind of been going back and forth with books, mixing it up a little bit because the month that this is being posted is Valentine's Day. So it's February and it's all about love. And so I wanted to do 5 romance or rom-com books and 5 Valentine-ish looks. This one today is very, very subtle. It's a very light pink look, and I'm hoping you guys can see it a little bit better in the lighting whenever I did this look. So, but yeah, if you guys missed the last one, it was kind of scattered with genres. I didn't really do romance or rom-com because I knew this video was going to be coming up. So I did some thriller, horror, mystery, those type of vibes for that one. So if you maybe don't like romance or rom-com, go check out that one if you kind of want the same vibe, or if you're just here for the makeup, that's great too. And I'm going to have timestamps like the last one as well. So hopefully it's a little bit nicer for you guys to navigate. If you guys want to skip some books, I usually try to do my best at not giving any spoilers. And the most I usually will give is like the synopsis that the story already gives you. Starting with makeup for today, I went into, okay, to be real with you guys, I have one of those Diamond Balm, like putty almost highlighters from Rihanna's brand Fenty Beauty. I forgot what it's called. I think it's it's a peach one, but it's like a pink shimmer. And I think I've had this idea before. My idea was just like these glazed over lids of just sparkle and pink, but like putting it on, it's beautiful, but it's so minimal in person that it's even more minimal on camera. So I kind of had to ditch the idea of it. To an extent. I went ahead and got out my Jeffree Star Cosmetics Bloodlust palette and decided just to have a little bit of fun. I took the shade Royal Pain, and I believe I did a eyeshadow look sort of like this last Valentine's Day, so don't at me. But yeah, I took this pink and I just kind of smudged it along my lash line, just kind of put, you know, that detail of pink there. And then I took Wet Jewel, which is the shimmer pink moment, kind of just feathering it all out. I just did it with my finger, but I just kind of, you know, tapped it all around. It's still kind of the vibe I was going for, but I still feel like it just is very, very minimal on camera. So I'm sorry if you guys can't see or appreciate the full moment going on. But I also paired it with a Jeffree Star Cosmetics liquid lipstick. This is one of the minis, but this is the shade Family Jewels, but it's one of my favorites. I feel like it's just a really flattering shade. Kind of has like that brown nude to it while having a little hint of pink, to where I thought it'd be pretty with a Valentine's Day look. Book that I have to talk about. It starts with us. An actual romance and even kind of rom-com. I feel like there's a little bit, but like also not crazy either. This one's so much more lighthearted than the first. Let me just say that. But I have critiques. I do really, really like it. I'm kind of teetering on 4 to 5 skulls for this one. Before I get into the summary, if you didn't know, you probably do if because this book just recently came out like a few months ago. This is a sequel to It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and the book just kind of blew up. It was like the book talk book. Everybody was talking about it, and I definitely felt like I had serious FOMO with it. So when I started reading some romance rom-coms, I decided to pick it up and just see what the fuss was about, and honestly see what the fuss about Colleen Hoover was about. Not gonna lie, I was pretty blown away. If you guys want to check out that video, I'll link it up above, but that video I talk about It Ends With Us, and I was just like, my mind was just like blown reading that book for a lot of different reasons. And it's about a really rocky relationship, and I really expressed how much I love the main character, Lily Bloom. She is just amazing. But there's a lot of side characters that I really liked, and that you just have these really emotional feelings towards throughout, because you just like, you really, really love them, but at the same time, you're so mad at them, and then you're trying to like somebody else, but it's really hard because, you know, you just, there's a lot of feelings going on in that book. So with this one, this is a sequel to that, and a lot of people are feeling different ways about it. A lot of people like how It Ends With Us ended, and I'm not gonna lie, I did too. I really liked the vibe of how that one wrapped up with Lily. I don't want to give too much away on it, but if you have read it, you probably know what I mean. The choices she made, it was really hard to read because there was still a part of you just like her that was kind of hoping for the, you know, for her to do the other choice. But at the same time, you're just like, it's so toxic. And while I can really appreciate this book because I feel like the character Atlas, I'm just gonna throw it out there now, Atlas is, I feel like he's barely mentioned in the first book. Like, his character's out there, but I feel like so many people are swooning over him, and I just didn't get that connection. Like, yes, the flashback stories of him, I'm like, so cute, you know, so sweet. It's so hard, and he was there for her, and she was there for him, and it's just, it's so cute. But like, in her new life as an adult, I just didn't get that chemistry vibe with them like I feel like a lot of people did. So I think that's why I also liked how the book wrapped up. With this book, what I was kind of like shocked about is she literally just starts this book where the last one left off, and I found that really cool. Like, it's just like a continuation. Some people love that, some people hate that about this, but I feel like it really shed the light on Atlas's character. This book is really based around him, and so you get to see even more into like his past life and where he was at, and kind of just why he's the person he is, where things go with Lily as well. And also we get to experience Lily. This book goes back and forth between Lily's perspective and Atlas's perspective. So kind of get to see the aftermath of everything she went through in the first book, where everything fell, where her relationships are at, how everybody is, and also that kind of relationship grow with Atlas. And I really did like it. In the end, I really love Lily and Atlas a lot. I think that it was a nice touch to it, although I agree with people, I like how the first one ended, and I honestly would have been fine with that. I just feel like this was just like a little extra oomph, you know, to everything, and that's what she was going for. She wanted this to be like just a, you know, a thank you to the readers and supporters of the first one, and you know, something for them who really enjoyed it. So I really did appreciate it. I also can see where people say it's just kind of like pointless. Did we really need it? But I think the only negative feelings I really have about this is I feel like we already had that heartbreak with Ryle in the first book. That in the second book, I'm like, really? Do we have to make him even more of a monster? Do we? You know, but I feel like there again, it sheds light on another really hard topic, which is co-parenting and how to navigate that and how to be successful for your children. All in all, I think either way, I feel like if you're content with how the first one ended, you might be good there. If you overly enjoyed the first book, like myself and many others, then I think that you should read the second book. But if it was just kind of like that, yeah, cute, you know, it's all right, I do like how it wrapped up, then I don't really know if you're going to be interested in the second one. I feel like you have to be really, really invested to go into the second one, I guess, but I definitely was. So we're going to jump into it first with the look. I'm using the Wander Beauty Sweet Escape palette. I got this in my BoxyCharm this month, and I'm filming it so early this month for January. But you guys can check it out because it'll already be up, and who knows, I may even have my February BoxyCharm already up, or that'll be coming very soon too. But this is the look from that BoxyCharm video. I went very mauve. I went with this brown and then went to mauve, all in the crease and outer corner, just kind of light, pretty neutral. But I took the shade on Holiday, this like glittery metallic, and it is so beautiful. I love it. It's all over the lid. And then first time ever using an e-balm from Persona Cosmetics. This is the shade Manifest. It's not really a shade I would typically go for. It's kind of vibrant, bright. I was gonna say those together, but can really be built up. Really pretty, and I thought, you know what? I'm about to review a book for Valentine's Day, so let's just go with it. So it's very cute, very mauve, pinky, and then also have that pinky red lip glossy moment going on. Perfect timing to review this book. I am comfy cozy still. It's winter time. It is January now, but I finished this book the end of 2022. It was honestly, I think, second to last of the books that I read for the year. It was one of my last books that I read for the year, but I'm finally refreshed for the new year and able to sit down, do makeup, and film in front of a camera again. I needed a little break. So now that I'm here, I'm like, it's time to review this book. And the book is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. My first book by Christina Lauren. I know that she has some really popular ones, Love and Other Words, In a Holidays, which probably would have been like perfect for me to read for it being around the holiday time. Maybe I need to remember that one for next year. But I've also seen like Autobiography and Something Wilder, different books like that, Twice in a Blue Moon. I've seen so many of these covers, but I had never read anything from her, but I have seen fellow people on BookTube talking about this book, so I thought I'm gonna give it a go. And you know what? I've seen very mixed reviews on it. There's some people who have really loved it. There's some people who are just like, no, it's just not for me. And so I was really back and forth on reading it. Olive is always unlucky in her career and love and, well, everything. Her identical twin sister Amy, on the other hand, is probably the luckiest person in the world. She's forcing Olive to spend the day with her sworn enemy Ethan, who just happens to be the best man. Olive braces herself to get through 24 hours of wedding hell before she can return to her comfortable, unlucky life. But when the entire wedding party gets food poisoning from eating bad shellfish, the only people who aren't affected are Olive and Ethan. And now there's an all expenses paid honeymoon in Hawaii up for grabs. My goal has just been to avoid summaries, the synopsis, like avoid all of it when jumping into any book, because honestly, if I would have read that, I probably would have not read the book. I feel like for the most part, it just gives away everything. Like it gives away so much of the book already that you're just kind of, you go in like already knowing what's gonna happen. And if it's not even that interesting to begin with, it's just like, I can't. So thankfully I didn't read that beforehand, so it was a little bit more intriguing to read, more interesting, because all these things were unfolding and I was just like, whoa, like this wedding and another twin dynamic. I swear to God, if I pick up another book with twins, that has been almost every book I have read recently, and it's starting to drive me insane. But regardless, people are getting sick with shellfish. People are literally shitting and throwing up everywhere. And I was just like, this is not what I was expecting. And that is the storyline of how these two people get on a honeymoon and it's not really their honeymoon. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, but let's talk about this though, because besides that, I can say I feel like writing style, I actually stayed like pretty entertained for the most part. What I feel like this really lacked though was, I don't know, I feel like it really lacked a lot. Like I just feel like the story moved so quickly into then something that was just kind of like, it was fun to read, and I feel like I actually really did like this somewhat chemistry they had that was also like really awkward. The characters just were so weird to me. And I laugh because, you guys, there were some of the most cringiest things I've ever read in this book. To some, they probably are not even that cringiest, and it's not what actually happened. The bathroom scene. If you know, if you've read this book, then you know. There's just things that happen that I'm just like, I'm not cringing because of like the actual incident or whatever. And I get it's a rom-com, you guys, I get it. But at the same time, it's so elaborately done that it's so unbelievable, and that's what makes it cringy for me. And I'm like, that would never happen. And again, it's a rom-com, it's a book, it's a story. And I really don't want to drag books or anything, because I can say, like, I did enjoy reading it. I just don't know if it was for the right reasons. And then from there, I feel like there was just so many awkward instances. And then finally we get to a point to where it's actually progressing and speeding up like this chemistry. And then it's just like one of those things where it's just like things heat up and then the chapter ends. And I'm not really like a person who like really goes for like the smut typically. If I fall into the smut, it's because of my plans of reading something and then I'm just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, or, oh, I heard this book's good, and then I start reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? You know, that type of ordeal. But with this, again, I'm never really looking for like the full-on smut. Like I do like a little bit of the spiciness. I like a little bit of spicy in that chemistry in books, don't get me wrong. But like with this, it was so lackluster that I was just like, wait, that's it? And usually I'm not even like that with books. Like I'm okay with it like heating up a little bit and, you know, them taking it there and then it just kind of like subsiding and going to like the next chapter or those three little dots or whatever the case may be. No, with this one though, it was just like, it's happening, boom, next chapter. And you're just like, what? Like it just didn't really make sense with the rest of the way. And you can sometimes detect that when starting a book by the author, especially like for me going into this book, never reading anything from her, not really knowing the level of spice you're gonna get, if you know what I mean. You can kind of detect it, I feel like earlier on, and that's why with her, I was like, oh, this is probably gonna get a little raunchy. So it was just kind of strange. It was not the vibe I was getting. Thought it was gonna be like a little bit more. But then at the same time with other scenes, I'm like, maybe she spared us. In reality, I can't give this book more than 3 stars. I just can't. I felt like, for one thing, if you read the synopsis, you've pretty much read this book. That is it. That is what happens. There is scenes in between. I do think that there is a few good solid chapters of just really cute moments between the two characters, of them kind of catching feelings, but then it just kind of turns into like them catching feelings, and it's just kind of like this weird, I don't know, the story plot for me was just kind of lackluster. I feel like if it was like a bigger story plot, or I don't know, I mean, bumping into like maybe her future boss and putting on this full charade for him and stuff, and I get like having to pretend to be her twin, blah, 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 for the honeymoon, but it was still just kind of like, you know. And then like, if you've read the book, then you know what I mean. Like when they go back home, and I really don't want to give a lot away, but when they go back to home to the real world and life and stuff, how everything unfolds in the end of this book, I was just kind of like, what? Like it just kind of speechless. Like I just think it was a shit ending. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But ultimately, those few good moments in this book is just not worth the full read of the book. I was pretty disappointed. Hey guys, I feel like it's been forever since I've filmed another part for this, but I'm reading a lot of romances again, so I thought I would do some makeup today and fill you guys in on another romance that I read. I actually read this one in January, so I thought it was about time to sit down and talk about it. But first, the makeup, of course. I'm currently filming 3 looks, 1 palette with the Verona palette from Nomad Cosmetics. It'll already be up when you guys see this video, so go check it out. This is the 3rd look in that video, but I went into some different pinks. I took like Paradise in my crease. I took this like, it looks like orange red, but that's actually, believe it or not, the shade that's kind of like carved out right there. And then I took Cupid, that pretty pink purple shift on like the lid. That's about it. I went pretty like minimal with it because today is Valentine's Day when I'm filming this. And I have like my kids' school parties and stuff to go to, so I'm just like very casual and just like, you know, that's the vibe today. The lip. You guys, I have been wearing this lip liner so much. Have I worn it in this video? I don't even remember. But this is the Dominique Cosmetics. Their liner is so bougie too. But it is their Creamy Fill and Define Lip Liner in the shade Crush. And it's just like the perfect nudie pink. I love it. And then I topped it off with a signature lip from Merit. I love these two. I'm normally wearing 1990. It's the brown, but this one's Baby, and it's just kind of like, again, like the perfect nude pink shade. I absolutely love it, and them two paired, this combo is like one of my perfect nudes. But yeah, that's what's going on with the face today. And the book is Book Lovers. I finally read a book from Emily Henry. I am now itching to do 3 books by Emily Henry. I maybe even like closer to summer because I never got around to like Beach Read or there's another one, I can't think of what it's called, but I've heard amazing things about Emily Henry in general, but this is my first book from her that I've read, and I have to say, there were so many mixed reviews that I've seen on this. A lot of people said either really loved it, or other people, the people that didn't like it were just like, I hated these characters, and, you know, they were just like hateful, and, you know, that type of vibe. And I didn't get that at all. They're definitely career driven, very, very ambitious, and, you know, definitely like our main characters. I mean, really both of them I feel like are very career driven, but where with him, he's kind of like going home and like, you know, helping out with like the family business. So kind of having to put like his job, like his actual job that he had on the back burner, where she's more of like, I mean, she's literally called, like her nickname is Shark because like she's a little cutthroat when it comes to her job, and she's looked at as being a tougher, I guess, like agent. What would you call that? Like she's kind of like, yeah, like kind of like the one of the middle people into the publishing of a book. So in between like the author and like the whole publishing situation, she works in that field and getting like the final chapters from the authors and, you know, trying to move everything along in the editing process and all of that. And yeah, so she's nicknamed the Shark, and I just absolutely loved these two together. The banter, like some people maybe see as more like hateful or, you know, that type of vibe when they see these characters. I just kind of see it as sarcastic and banter. So if you like that type of book, I don't know if I would say this is full-on enemies to lovers. I feel like there is definitely like that bitterness between them in the beginning when they first meet. So it could kind of have, I mean, it does kind of feel a little bit like that trope for sure. But it's just the full-on banter. And I really, really love that with rom-coms or romances in general. I feel like if they have a little bit of banter, it's just like the cherry on top. I love that. I'm not saying I want them to be like super hateful to each other. It's just that I want some of that realness, you know? I don't want it just to be like this magical like perfect relationship, like love at first sight, and then they're like inseparable, and like that's a cute moment. It's cute, but like I like the realness of a relationship as well. Like I feel like sometimes the books romanticize a relationship that's just like absolutely perfect, where I love the books that offer a little more, like they're a little bit more like authentic to like what a typical relationship is. And I get not everybody banters, not everybody is sarcastic, but I love that. I feel like it makes it just, it tones it down a little bit, makes it a little bit more real for me. But yeah, the characters are really cute in this, and just their story overall, for me, it's kind of like a slow burn romance that's like building up. There is a little bit of that miscommunication there, but I feel like Emily Henry had a really good way of working it in to where it didn't really bother me. And also, I have to commend her because there is actually a part in this book, and again, it's been like a few weeks since I've read this, but there's a part in this book where I'm just like, oh, here comes this huge miscommunication that's just gonna be like over their heads and for no reason. Like, it's so obvious, but the character Nora, the main female lead, she literally is just like bypasses that communication. Is just like, you know, let's figure this out. Like, did you mean this or did you mean this? I forgot exactly how it's worded, but it was literally just like, I feel like the first time I've read a rom-com or romance where they bypassed the whole communication because the character was just like, almost feels like a real person in real life, to where like sometimes those miscommunications, you're just like, no, that would never happen. Like, they would see that miscommunication, or they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is stressful. There's too many, like, do you feel this way? Do you feel this way? Like, can I just ask you and just get this over with? Can we just talk about this now? And I feel like Nora is just like that. And the thing is that is Nora. That is her personality, that it was just like spot on. It honestly, I feel like is enough to give it like that extra star rating because of just like the fact that she just, bam, just turned down that like miscommunication and just like went for it. And that's literally what her character represents, I feel like. So it was just like perfect. I was sitting there thinking like, if there's miscommunication right now, it's going to be so out of character. I'm going to be so bummed. And it's just like, I don't know. It was like a breath of fresh air too, reading that, because I've been reading so many romance, rom-coms, even some smut, and the miscommunication I have found out is probably one of my absolute worst tropes to read. Like, I'm okay with just like a little hint of it, but even like these books back to back, when there's miscommunication, I'm starting to get a little more irritated each time. But yeah, so that was a breath of fresh air. I would give it a 4 or 5. I really, really like the writing style. I feel like it's actually a pretty decent sized book. We're coming up on close to 400 pages, and I feel like I really breezed through it. I feel like it was a page turner. The characters are interesting. Their character development and the character development of like them together, I've just felt like was really, really cute. And the only other reason that I'm teetering between 4 and 5 stars is I do feel like once I hit around like maybe like 300 pages, I don't know, I just kind of felt like the last 100 pages was just kind of like, all right, you know, there's some parts that could really have been bypassed. It didn't have to be this long. It didn't have to be drawn out like this. But overall, looking back at it, I kind of think it fit the aesthetic of a little bit of a slow burn romance or rom-com. But at the same time, it was really enjoyable and a page turner. So I don't know, it was just like, I guess like a balanced mix of that. So if you like all of those, I feel like you would enjoy this. I feel like just about any person who reads romance and rom-coms though, or more like contemporary, they probably have already read this, but my thoughts, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute, and I also really loved like the shout outs throughout it of like the classic rom-com movies or even books, and a little bit of like the different pop culture that there was too. I'm gonna have to read some more from her. For today's look, I used a favorite. This is an old favorite, but I still absolutely love it. From Lunar Beauty, this is the Greek Goddess, and absolutely beautiful shades. Here's the deal. I actually wanted to go a little bit more warmer with this. I took the shade Persephone in the crease, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have like a warm moment today. Put that all in the crease. Then I took Athena on the inner corner and like inner part of my lid, but then Calliope in my outer corner really cooled this look down. But I absolutely love this. This is like my go-to like everyday moment. I love that cool tone brown and then like that like stark pearl almost shade. I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorites. But I'm not gonna lie, earlier today I wore one of my go-to brown lipsticks. So to set down and film this, I put on a red, and this is from the She Glam Corpse Bride collab. What shade is this? Beating Heart, and it is the red. I thought it'd be perfect because this is kind of supposed to be like my Valentine's 5 looks and 5 books, even if you guys are getting it after Valentine's Day, but I still wanted them to be like either flirty glam looks or full-on glam moments with the bold red lip, and I realized that I haven't really had like a full-on red lip, so I had to have that neutral glam with the bold red lip for this. Today's book. It's a mouthful. You made a fool of death with your beauty. Kweke Emizi. I may be butchering that. I really hope not, though. I was so excited to read this. I've heard people go absolutely crazy over this book, and good and in very interesting ways as well. So I've seen a lot of people really love this book, but I've also seen people be like, it's not bad, but it's really different and interesting than what I thought it was going to be or what I typically read. So I was really intrigued going into this book. I did read this at the end of January. This was a part of the Buzzword from Kayla, Books and Lala. She does Buzzword books every month, and the Buzzword was Life and Death, and we have death in the title, so this was my pick for that, but also it was a perfect way to read a book going into Black History Month. So I am reading some more from Black authors this month as well. As like the romance, I've been like doing both, so this is one of them that I did want to kind of like highlight. So first of all, I want to say I did give this a 3. I have to say the biggest reason I gave it a 3 is that this is not what I typically go for or want when it comes to like a romance. But I will also say, if you've been on my channel for a little bit and you've seen me read and rate other romance books, 9 times out of 10 they get a 3-star rating, because romance in general isn't my genre. It's just not. I like a lot of I do have some romances that I really like, and I do like them every once in a while for kind of like a palate cleanser, like in between when I'm like in a rut with maybe like back-to-back thrillers that just didn't really do it for me, that type of ordeal. But the reason I didn't rate this any higher than what I did is the tropes that are in this, because if it was the writing style, so good. Writing style, I really, really liked. The characters in general weren't really my vibe. Like I think that they were cool. I think that the way that they're described and all of that is like really cool. I love certain aspects to different characters. And even like the main character, I love the way she's described. She sounds absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. I feel like their choices and some of the things they say are just not really things that I vibe with as much, but I'm not gonna like, that isn't what like I'm holding over this book's head. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's because of this that I'm rating it lower. It really does come down to like the tropes, because I like the fact that the main character is an artist and that she uses, not to give anything away, but like such like raw emotions, I'll just say that, for like her artwork and stuff, that I just think is absolutely, what's the word? It's intense, but it's like at the same time absolutely beautiful. And I've never seen any type of like art form in a book like that that actually was like, oh my gosh. Also, the way that she writes about like places, there's a tropical location in this book, and the way she describes things, I felt like I was there. It was absolutely beautiful. The writing is 10 out of 10. When the writing comes down to the actual characters, that's where I was a little bit more stumped, just because I felt like I wasn't really vibing with the characters. But location, scenery, how the story flows, it was absolutely beautiful. But with that being said, there is some parts that were just like really confusing. I feel like that's the whole part of You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, because we kind of go through some of like her lovers. And it's an interesting journey. And to just kind of throw it out there for you guys, if you like the I want to do your dad trope, you're going to like this book probably. That normally isn't really a trope that I really go for, but I have to say, with this book and with the characters in general, I found their relationship to be pretty cute, and I think it's been the only time that I think I've read something along those lines where it wasn't like weird, I guess, for me. And I do think it's because the other men in question were just kind of questionable and had a lot of red flags to begin with that I kind of seen through. So it ended up kind of working, but I also love that this story and how they bond is through like heartache, and there is so many beautiful scenes, from like the scenery she talks about to the actual conversations that they have. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I feel like, I guess for me, the beginning and towards the middle of the book were just kind of like up in the air things that I was just like really confused about, conversations, really confused about like choices being made. But I feel like the last half of the book is actually quite beautiful. And if you're like me, if you can get like past like the, you know, whole dad trope, I think that it would still be a book that you would enjoy the experience of reading it. Let me know if you guys have checked this one out. For the fifth and final look in this video, I today used one of my favorite palettes, Rebel Rouge Labs Prelude to Agony. And it's so pretty. It's such a unique color story. Obsessed with this. So I started with Morning, which is kind of like this like pale blue gray shade. It's really unique, and it did exactly what I wanted it to. I started putting this in my crease and then kind of angling it out to where it's almost just kind of like a winged out moment that connects with the crease. Put that shade all in there. Then I went into Euphoric, which is this vibrant matte pink shade, and I put it all over the lid, blended it in the crease as well, and it meshed with the blue so well, forming it into like almost kind of like there's a purple halo effect going around the pink. It's hard to describe. You guys see it, you get what I mean. So beautiful. So I did kind of go back and forth between those two shades just to have the bright pop of pink, but to have like that almost like halo effect around the pink that is purple, although it's just mixing that pink and that gray blue together. I absolutely love how that turned out. I did put a little bit of Paramore in the very inner corner just to add a little bit touch of metallic, or you know, a little bit of shimmer there, but it does pretty much match the pink. And then after finishing my face, I came back and I put a little bit more of Morning on the lower outer corner just to kind of add a little bit of depth there. Nothing like too crazy, but yeah, I think it's so cool how it turned out. I love like the two shades mixing to make like that purple shade. That's, oh, it's so good. And a metallic lip today. I'm going there. I've actually switched it up a couple times. I was doing some lip swatches. So in the clip, I was wearing Stila Stay All Day liquid lipstick in the shade Patina, which is the shimmer. And now I'm wearing L'Oreal Infallible Paints Metallics in the shade Moonlust. So these are close. This is like a dupe for the Stila, but the L'Oreal Metallics are like a lot shinier. Let me just say that. Okay, so I am going to be throwing up the cover of this book because I did read this on my Kindle and it was actually like through a library app, so I have since returned it. I read this book a couple weeks ago and this is Dating Dr. Dil by Nisha Sharma. So I do have to say I love the representation of the Asian American community in this book. It really highlights a lot of I feel like their culture, and also like love how it showed like how typical dating and stuff like that works like in their culture, or how they like used to do things like with arranged marriages and that type of ordeal. On top of that, I feel like there's like food references and just different things of the culture that I found was really, really cool. But besides that, I really had a hard time with this book, and I hated that so much because it's not that I didn't like the main character. I found her somewhat okay, but I just felt like this was a very, I don't know, like the way they went about it was very strange. So you have this fake dating trope going on. He is a doctor, but although he is a doctor, it's kind of just like he's still like starting out with his career, and on top of that, he's trying to open up a medical clinic for a certain community that has a lot of documented and undocumented people who are not being able to have any type of health benefits. And so it also, I feel like, kind of opens up that discussion and that topic as well, and really sheds light on like, you know, people who need medical attention and they don't get that, and it's heartbreaking. I felt like this author tried to bring a lot of tougher things forward while still trying to make it like a rom-com. So there's like the humor and the funny moments and the banter and all of that, and for the most part I was enjoying myself. I think when it just came down to their fake dating arrangement, it was a little weird for me because it's like for her dad is like moving and wants to sell the house that she's lived in her whole life. Her mother has passed, and that's like the house that she thought was going to be hers one of these days. So the thought of having to give up the house is killing her, but she doesn't have the money to buy it from her dad, and he's just trying to tell her, you need to move on, like, you just need to move on from this. But just like her other sister, once the girls were to be married, were engaged, their dad gave them a option. You can either have this money for your wedding or a down payment on a house. So that's kind of where the fake dating comes in. She's like, hey, you know, like, so that's where I can say it's not that I didn't like the fake dating. I felt like the way it developed was a little weird for me because I just thought it was going to be a little bit more so just like very blunt, like I need money to do this clinic and I need money to buy my mom's house. But it was like this like back and forth, and I'm just like, at some point I'm just like, is this fake dating or is it not? Because nothing's going on here. So finally, when it actually happens, it's very, I don't know, it's cute in a way when it comes to fake dating, but at the same time, their relationship is just like, I don't know. I think it could be better. I feel like this is probably the hardest one for me to talk about because I just, like the last one, I just felt like there was certain tropes or certain things with the characters that I was just kind of like, certain things said that kind of made me cringe, that I didn't really like. And I even got on Goodreads afterwards and was just like, I have to know what other people are saying. And a lot of people seemed disappointed in this book. Not all. but the majority that seemed disappointed in it, you could tell like they had liked her previous books, I guess. So I'm like, maybe I should give it another go, like with something else from her. But this just didn't really do it for me. I did give this one 3, as well as the last. But I think it has potential because the writing style I don't think was like bad. I honestly just think it just comes down to the main characters. Because even like the family banter, the family relationship, they have all the aunties, and I loved that. I loved everything that had to do within their family, and again, just showing so much of like their culture, and all the personalities with each of like the aunties and stuff were so much fun. I really, really liked all that, and the meddling and relationships, all that, so cute. It really did just come down to, I think, the 2 main characters. And I seen somebody else's review where they said, when's the sequel coming? Divorcing Dr. Dil. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, and then if you have read it, I could not get over her sister. Her sister was so annoying, but I hated that she didn't ever stand up for herself. Like, I'm like, girl, just stand up for yourself. Your sister is whining nonstop and gets her way. Like, stand up for yourself. Besides that, the last thing I want to say, because I feel like I've already like spoiled some of this book, is the whole Dr. Dil show was just like really weird. Like, it was not my vibe. And the whole like, you know, I don't believe in love type of ordeal, and I feel like there's a lot of it too that like is already slipping my mind. Like, it's kind of, besides some of the things that I said I liked about it, the rest are just kind of becoming a blur. Like, it was enough to be forgettable, and I never liked that with a book. With that being said, I have wrapped up another one of these videos, and so give me some thumbs up. Let me know if you guys still like these type of videos. You can let me know down below in the comments if you've read any of these books, what you thought. Maybe our preferences are a lot alike. Maybe our ratings are completely different. I would still love to know, and any chance to talk about books. Also, you can let me know which look is your favorite if you're just here for the makeup. I'm going to try to slowly come back and link all of my looks to like Instagram post so that you guys can see all the makeup details, because there's never enough room in the description box for the makeup deets on every single one of these looks. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and watching another one of these. I have had a lot of fun filming these. I get a little scatterbrained with them because I've been filming this one since the end of last year, so I'm like, I just gotta piece it all together. I gotta get it edited, get it all together so that I can get it up, and the editing process kind of gets a little stressful. But I really do enjoy doing these because it just gives me a chance to just read more and more, so yeah. But thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in my next video.